It is Monday. Oc- wow. Tuesday. We'll leave that in here. It's Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. And this is another episode of Armchair Analysis. Welcome in. Hopefully, you guys are having a good week so far. And it's only going to get better. We've got a lot of previews to do this week. As a matter of fact, we have a double preview episode planned this week on Thursday. Thursday, we're going to preview Bama, Tennessee, third Saturday in October. Big deal of a game. On top of that, though, we're going to add on another game to preview. We're going to preview Holy War, BYU and Utah. Really pumped for that game. I think there's a lot of excitement going into it. On both sides, BYU looking to remain undefeated. Meanwhile, Utah is looking to spoil said undefeated season for the Cougs. It's going to be a fun one. I'm excited for that on Thursday. Tomorrow, we've got a fun little plan. We're going to do a midseason awards show. Most every team has played 6 games so far, so we're going to kind of just do a baseline little award show. Our favorite players, anything from our midseason Heisman to our Coach of the Year to even some disappointing teams and players throughout the course of the year. We're going to talk about everything that we can here on that show tomorrow. So make sure you stick around. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We'll also preview Georgia and Ole Miss. But for right now, let's talk about today's show, which is, again, we got some news breaking today that we're going to kind of talk about some different things around the country. And then, of course, we are going to preview Vanderbilt hosting LSU as favorites this weekend. Really excited for that one. So make sure you stick around. Make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. We are still 2 subscribers away from 200. Please help us out. We'll get there. We are looking to reach that goal hopefully by the end of this week. We've got a lot of content coming your way and some fun stuff still planned down the line as well as we continue to go towards a really fun weekend of college football action where I will be in attendance at South Carolina, taking in South Carolina and Oklahoma. We'll see if John Mateer is healthy, see if John Mateer plays, and if not, who will take in that role. So make sure y'all stick around. Make sure y'all tune in for the content. And with that said, let's go ahead and get into today's show and topics. And we'll go ahead and start down in College Station, Texas, where it has been announced that Le'Veon Moss, Texas A&M running back, will miss extended time after a ankle injury last weekend in their game. Unfortunately, this is going to be, I think, a little heavier than people expected, but I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. Obviously, the big storyline is Le'Veon Moss is a leading rusher for this team and has been probably the most consistent. But we've seen Ruben Owens really step up over the course of the year. Turn this running back room into maybe one of the best college football has. There's a long way to go in this season. Of course, there's a lot of time left. A lot of things can change. But for right now, this seems like it's not going to be a huge hit, but it is going to be noticed. I think in a lot of ways where those big plays are broke off by Le'Veon Moss. He's been more known for those than Ruben Owens. We may miss those a little bit more. But there again, the way the Texas A&M offensive line is played, it might just be plug and play. That's the thing we'll have to see. We'll see how they use some other playmakers like Kevin Concepcion or KC Concepcion, for those of you who are more familiar with that. Puts a lot of weight on Marcel Reed to really make the right plays, do the right things, and really take care of the football throughout the course of this season. The weight's been taken off his shoulders by these 2 running backs being so good and his legs being so impactful as well. We'll see if maybe he gets a little more run in the run game. And then Ruben Owens, of course, going to take over that RB1 role. I don't expect too much of anything different, really, just for this team to continue to build and push forward towards a potential playoff appearance, and maybe even more. This is a team that I think is loaded up enough that they might be able to win a national championship. Moving on, we'll stay in the same state, though. Texas Tech quarterback Baron Morton has been considered day-to-day leading up to this game against Arizona State that they have next. That's a bit of concern, but again, those who have seen this Texas Tech team play, we've seen Will Hammond play a good amount, and we've seen him step up and really make some big plays over the course of this season. If I'm sitting here right now telling you what I think is going to happen, if Baron Morton doesn't play and Will Hammond's your starting quarterback, I still think Texas Tech goes out and wins. I think this team is that dominant, that capable of maybe plugging and playing. Now, the third string quarterback would obviously turn into the backup, and that's Mitch Griffiths. Some of you think that name's familiar. Some of you have never heard it before in your life, and that's okay. Mitch Griffiths is I think, a really solid quarterback. He played at Wake Forest under Dave Clawson over the last few years, was a starter for a little bit of time. Has potential to really step in. He didn't fit well with the slow mesh, but I think he's a really solid air raid quarterback, and I think he'd fit well into the Joey McGuire system. So if it gets down to a third string quarterback, if it comes down to a worst case scenario and Griffiths is on the field, I still think Texas Tech can play a good enough game to win this football game. Just a personal take there. Moving on to the last little thing that I found and noted here was Notre Dame center Ashton Craig is out for the rest of the season after an after a knee injury against NC State. That's a bit of a blow to what's been a really good offensive line. They've really leaned heavily on their run game, but they've also been able to see a lot of success and a lot of really good plays made by quarterback C.J. Carr, who has slowly entered a short list for the Heisman Trophy for me. As the year goes on, he continues to play consistent football, taking care of it, and doing the right things as a redshirt freshman. That is impressive stuff. What's going to happen here, though, I think this could throw off things a little bit. We'll see how practice goes. They're getting a lot of time this week to really see what's going to happen. It's going to be Joe Otting expected to be the replacement, and if things go well this week, he will be. Watch what happens under center. Watch how things change from the shotgun. Watch how the snaps look different. If they start to have trouble, that's where we'll see maybe some things taken over by USC in this weekend's matchup. Between those two, we'll be previewing that game on Friday, by the way. So just some news and notes to discuss, some things that we've seen over the last couple of days, as I didn't do a news episode yesterday. Now we push forward. Let's go ahead and pull up the lovely graphic we put together. I say lovely, it's a little biased. I mean, I only made it, but, it's okay. Anyways, we've got Vandy hosting LSU this weekend, and that's not on CBS. That's on ABC. My bad. I'm sorry. I messed it up. Just erase your memory. Just know that says ABC. I'm not changing. I'm not pausing. You know what? I'm going to pause the recording and go fix it. 1 second. We got to fix. I mean, that's really the most minute detail I've missed probably all season on one of these graphics, but everything else is done. Kudos to me. It's only my job and everything. But anyways, you look at all these numbers here, and there's some things that have really stuck out to me when we talk about what this game can be, okay? And the biggest thing that's hit my mind is a continuation of last year for LSU, and that's turning the ball over in big games, especially when they go on the road in these big games. Except it happened last week, too. They played South Carolina at home and had 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions from Garrett Nussmeier, and 2 fumbles, one of them recovered by the offense and retained possession, but the other one given away. That's 3 turnovers last week as well, and what was a 20-10 victory. And that's that's great. You win the game, you cover, you do your job, right? But that South Carolina team has had a lot of turmoil in their own right. Of course, they just made a big switch in the offensive line coach, to Sean Elliott, and they are now trying to kind of push their way forward as a team and a program, trying to maybe have a coaching staff save its job at South Carolina. That's not the kind of performance you want to have. This is a team, the offense has sputtered. The offense has struggled tremendously. Caden Durham has been the best running back on this team for about a year and a half now. You go back to the South Carolina game last year when he really kind of broke out, really showed me that he was a talented player. I was in attendance for that game. But you saw Caden Durham kind of break out, and he's been the best player when he's healthy. But this team has not really stayed healthy either, especially in that running back position. A team that runs for 115 yards a game, to me, just doesn't seem like a team that's going to beat Vanderbilt. You're going to have to be able to push the ball on the ground because this team will capitalize on any mistake that you make. And that's one thing that I really enjoy about the way they play. They have a really good leadership group at Vanderbilt. Clark Lee, Jerry Kill stepping in and being a big deal, and a big help as an assistant on this program. And it goes even deeper than that, but I don't have time to explain to you everything that this team really does well from a coaching perspective. But one thing they do is capitalize on every mistake you make. It doesn't matter when or where in the game. They got beat by Alabama, a team that is consistently and considerably better than them in a talent perspective and finally playing up to their potential. This LSU team is still really not doing that. And if this is their potential, then we were severely mistaken on this team's ability to improve and what Garrett Nussmeier would do this year. I mean, we were severely mistaken. This is also a team that allows 3.2 yards per carry. But when they've played teams, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this up just to confirm this stat, because as much as I know I've looked at this already, I want to go ahead and do it again. when they played a team that ran the ball well, being Ole Miss, they gave up 166 rushing yards on 45 carries. That's still 3.7 per carry. And they didn't have anybody consistent. Like, they've been a good team against the run, but the teams that have stuck to it have still been able to relatively make things happen. And that's the one thing that Vanderbilt has done very well. They run the ball well, 6.6 yards per carry as a team. And especially in better situations, we've seen Cedric Alexander break a couple big runs. Diego Pavia does a lot of good stuff. And just the way that they, again, utilize their run game to then play into their passing game, they're one of the teams that does it just extremely well. It's an offense that's tough to stop. The way I look at this game, you see it on both sides. If LSU turns the ball over 3 times in this game, they are losing this game. If they turn the ball over twice in this game, I think they lose this game. For Vandy, win the line of scrimmage. Take advantage of good field position if you get it, but win the line of scrimmage. Be able to push this LSU defense around. You play numbers very well. Continue to do what you're doing, because I think that's going to really help them out as time goes on. I see my dog back there playing with a toy. When you look at other things here, both of these teams have forced 10 turnovers on the season. Now, Vandy does it in a different way. They're very, very scrappy. They forced and taken the ball away 6 times by way of fumble. They forced 7 on the season. LSU's done it the other way. They've done it through the air. They've picked off a bunch of passes so far on the season, and been able to do a little bit by forcing fumbles, but the majority of their stuff is coming through the way of interception. Well, what were LSU's turnover problems last week? Well, it was interceptions, but it was also fumbles. They had 2 fumbles last week. I think this Vanderbilt team is going to force 1 or 2 this weekend as well. Whether they recover them or not could determine the game, but if they do, it would be a huge deal. Look at some other things. I'm talking take care of the ball. We've already covered that. Continue to try to build on this run game. They ran the ball really well last week, all things considered. Even with their fumbling problems, they still ran the ball pretty well last week, and it was improved. Caden Durham was solid. They did some stuff with their wide receivers to get them in space and utilize them in the run game. Continue to build off of what they did last week. If they can, again, take care of the football, it's a successful kind of formula to maybe win this thing. For Vandy, my last point was simple. Get to Garrett Nussmeier. Make him make mistakes. He is, in ranked matchups, is where he struggles the most. He tries too hard. He throws too many interceptions, plain and simple. Let's not try to sound too smart. Let's just call it what it is. He throws too many interceptions in these big games. All of these things that I've led to talk to you about, I think Vandy has a distinct advantage in this game. It's because they can run the ball better, and I think they'll control time of possession. I think we're going to see them force a turnover or 2, maybe even a third, and really be able to get in front of this game early. Now, I won't be able to watch this game. Obviously, again, I'll be at South Carolina for Oklahoma in this time slot. But I think that this is a huge game and a huge chance for Vanderbilt to prove themselves as playoff contenders. I did use the words Vanderbilt and playoff in the same sentence, but it's a true statement. If they win this game, I think it pushes them further into that mindset of playoff contenders going forward on the year. Let's go ahead and take a look at their schedule real quick. And now I don't have a graphic for this. I probably should have, but this is a little bit more of a on the fly kind of look that we're going to take. They play Missouri and Texas in their next 2 games on top of this LSU game. Who's surprised? They play Auburn and Kentucky. Auburn's offensive line has been terrible. I think they'll be fine against Auburn. And as a matter of fact, they'll get a bye week and then play Kentucky. I think that they go into that Tennessee game no worse. I'm going to say than 8-3. I think they'll win one of these next 3 games at a minimum. I think they win 2 of these next 3. And I think they'll beat Tennessee at the end of the year. I think that this Tennessee defense is fraudulent, more than fraudulent. Nobody thinks they're good. After watching this team, nobody outside of Knoxville thinks this defense is good or capable of being good because they haven't done it. They haven't proved it once this year. I think they'll beat Tennessee. I think they'll win this game. As a matter of fact, I'm predicting 27-23. And I think they'll beat Texas on the road, along with beating Auburn and Kentucky, to close the year out at 10-2 and in playoff contention. That's what I believe is going to happen. Now, of course, opinions are, what's the term my family always used. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. There's more to it, but I'll leave it at that. Um, we'll see. We'll see. But what I think's going to happen is this team's going to finish 10-2. It's going to start with a win on Saturday. Again, I'm picking this game, Vanderbilt 27-23. That would be a cover for Vandy at 2.5 point favorites as we talk right now on Tuesday. The under would not hit. They would be right at 50. The unders would be under 48.5. So that's what I have for this game. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you all so much for the support. Yes, I got a haircut. Looks great, I know. Thank you. But no, in all seriousness, thank y'all so much for tuning in. I hope y'all have a fantastic rest of your day. Hopefully you'll join me tomorrow. Again, we're going to do a mid-season awards show type of thing. And we'll also have more than just that to talk about on that mid-season awards show. We got a Ole Miss Georgia preview to come at you tomorrow as well. So make sure you stick around, subscribe, like the video. It helps it get out. But also subscribe because it helps this channel get recommended further. Helps me continue to build this thing. Again, we are at 198 subscribers as of today. Help us roll forward. Help us push forward. Help us get to that 200 mark. That's our next milestone. Thank y'all so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll see you tomorrow on another episode of Armchair Analysis.